our customers and partners to enhance their workflows, their processes with AI, machine learning, generative AI. So it's an exciting company to work in because we're working with some of the biggest powerhouses in all of those domains on very cutting edge technology. And so we would love for you to take advantage. Is there a slide on the challenge itself with the prizes? So our challenge is the best use of generative AI. You can literally do anything. There are no restrictions. You don't have to work in any of those domains I mentioned. You can just do whatever creative use of our generative AI vector database that you want over this 24 hours. These prizes are cash money. They are not in-kind services. We give cash to the teams. As I mentioned in the welcome, you can apply for our challenge, but also submit it to the overall challenges, Intel's challenge, whatever you want. You can stack them up and win ours and others. These are big, these are the checks we're handing out here. At the, that's right. We have amazing mentors, so you do not have to do it all yourself. If you have any questions, detailed, real hard questions, we have people that are super knowledgeable about the technology here all weekend, and then we also have online mentors around the clock in Discord that will help you. And finally, just the last thing about InterSystems before I hand it off about the actual challenge is, as I mentioned, we are hiring. We have a table in the atrium here, and with the QR code, we're hiring. We have intern hires. We have recent grad program. We are hiring globally, and we also have our own startup program and venture fund. We support startups and accelerate startups around the world. And it's a fantastic program. We hear from the startups that it's very helpful to them. And one of the reasons we're here at HackTX is because we know that UT Austin actually launches many startups as well. So thank you for coming. Really appreciate your time. And I'm going to pass it off for details about the challenge. And then again, you can ask us any questions here before we close. Thank you.
Can everyone hear me all right? Okay. If you did not get a link to a Git from the last slide, just try this first link. It should take you to a Git repository where we have some code which you can use. I'll go over some of that. So what I'll do is I'll tell you how you actually end up using our product. So to put it very simply, it's essentially a database that you end up using for whatever app that you end up doing. So you can just treat it like MySQL, Postgres, or whatever. And you essentially connect to it like you would connect to any other database. You do basic SQL operations on it. The added advantage that we have, and some of our competitors do as well, is we have a vector search capability built in, so you can store embeddings of your textual data or any of the data into the database, and you can run basic vector search operations and then k nearest neighbors operations. And what I will assume is you all have a basic understanding of what vector search is and what RAG models are and what generative AI is. And then I will sort of start from there and then just tell you more about the product directly. So the link should have taken you here. Is everyone able to see this here? Oops. Did everyone get here? You can all access this? Essentially, how, can I get a thumbs up? Yes. Okay. Well, if you haven't, you can get here later. And then, essentially, what we've structured it as is the very first thing you do is you set up a running instance of Iris. Iris is the name of our database. It's not just a database in the sense you might end up using it as such, but it's much more. It's being explained. We have been in the healthcare sector, we've been now in the financial services sector or the supply chain sector. So our product is a database with like some apps loaded on top of it depending on the use case, and that's why we are like data solutions company, if you want to put it in very technical terms. For your purposes, you can just run our database as like using this like Docker command. It will essentially expose some ports which you will use to connect to it and run your basic SQL operations on it. You can go through this. You'll have some requirements that you like need to install. You have to install like this file depending on which system you're using. It's essentially like the Iris library that's used to connect to the database. It seems like there are a lot of libraries online which are named Iris, so we happy to give you the view file directly here. Also, we have our Open API keys, but like this is something that you will need from your end. So once you run this Docker command, you should be able to access what we call as the management portal. So maybe some of you have used like there are table viewers, like you set up a SQL connection, and then you have like this other app that you can run, which is a table viewer, which allows you to go and view the tables that you'll be building. So we have like this as part of our core product. It's like bundled with the database where you can go. We call this as a management portal, and then like in the management portal we've given you some instructions. You can just go search here SQL, and then like you can. This is what we call as the namespace. What you'll have to do here is like go to the user namespace because that's where you're doing most of your work, and then you can view all the tables that you will create. For example, like I have created some tables already. I'll go over these a bit more. So there are some tables. So you can just like keep viewing your tables with like all the embeddings in them. I'll quickly go over one of the notebooks that we have. We call it the Iris database operations using SQL notebook. A very long name. Try to be as descriptive as possible there. We recommend that you use this to understand how to use the database, and for most of your applications we have some other stuff which has been done by some of our community members, which is a little bit more advanced, so you can play with that, and we have most of that available online as well. Essentially what we're doing here is like, I'm pretty sure you've come across pandas, you've like used this, so you like essentially have like some basic stuff like in your memory, and then like this is the database. We have like we call it like a whiskey data set. We have like descriptions about like different kinds of whiskeys, like the prices and all those things. And the very first thing that you would want to do when you build an app is like you want to store, persist the data, so you make a connection to Iris. So this is how you make a connection to Iris. You have like a username, password, and then like essentially like get a connection string. And what happens here is like you connect to the database, and like you create a table name, and then you create a table definition, and then it essentially creates a table in the backend. And once you do this, you can very easily go and check like if it's been created in the backend, and then you see an empty table has been created here. Now you just add data to it, and these are pretty descriptive, so I'll just like quickly go through them, just to like show you how you can just like go back and forth and like see like your table getting populated here, and you can like delete and stuff, and then that works as well. Like removers, good thing. Okay. These are all table operations. You can go through them, and then like there are some helpful links right at the top. So you might want to do many more things than we have done here. So you can just like go through all these operations, and then like there are different data types for you as well. Like in the past, some people have used it for like storing images, creating embeddings with those. Like some people have videos as well. So you can try all of those things. Everything works. Well, it doesn't, but then it works. Finally, coming to the vector portion of it, you can use any embedding model that you might have, like again, and then like create embeddings with that you have here. It takes a little bit of time sometimes. And then like once these embeddings are created, like you can with like these commands essentially add a new column to your table that you created in the backend. And then like it will add like this new information with all the embeddings in the backend. Okay, so you have your description vectors. This is just for viewing, but the algorithms on the backend allow you to do vector nonprofits on this. And then like you can run like semantic searching queries, like for example, find something that is going to be on a 3D face, and you can do that. You can take some results where you like get to see those. We have some other tools. Over them. We also have a starter app which looks really bad, but can allow you to debug some of the apps that you have to make.
Yes, which is interesting because that's the selling point.
You like those guys are following you.
Hi everyone, howdy. So as Git was mentioning, I just wanted to showcase where Iris fits in overall your entire application cycle. So whatever is the application you're like creating, you might need a database to store data. And along with that, if you need to create vector embeddings and store those vector embeddings, you can just create one more column, which is a vector data type in our database alongside of other columns. So let's say if you have like a chatbot application, you have user, you will be creating front-end app in whatever the tech stack that you are using, and then a user queried account. Then you will have the database where it checks those vector embeddings to see which response, like which data would be ideal to respond back to the user. That's where Iris fits in, and that could be done using a couple of ways. One is using external functions. Let's say you want to use any other OpenAPI functions or any other Python functions, you could still do that. But you would be connecting to our database using our SQL Alchemy connection that we are using, doing with the DB API, which we have code samples in, so you need not worry about how to connect all of that. But either that, or you can just write a simple SQL query like, okay, select so and so and give your search term and use our cosine similarity function, which we also have examples for, which is just a simple SQL query if you are familiar with SQL. That gives a simple way for you to do some analysis and do some similarity search, but there are other ways that you can do as well. But just wanted to show this so you can understand where Iris fits in your application. And if you are not sure as well, I would recommend, as long as you need some database, start with Iris, so that if you, in your use case, if you can embed vector search, then you can do it very easily with just adding one more column to your table. So as long as your application needs something, a backend, try to use our data platform. It is simple to run, as we showed with Docker container. I hope everyone has like Docker desktop or Docker installed, so that ensure you have the Docker engine running before running the command, so that you will be able to create the containers. So what we have seen so far initially was directly using our function, and this is something, let's say if you want to use LangChain. We don't provide OpenAI keys, so you need to sign up and get your own OpenAI key or any other platform that you want to use, get those keys. We just have 4 samples for OpenAI, but all you need to do is replace the library that you want to use and replace the API key in the .env file when you want to change that. We already ran this, so it might say, okay, you cannot run multiple times. But what we recommend in this structure is, as we are using Python and you might be working with different tools and libraries, ensure you are creating a specific virtual environment for your project. So whatever you install will be under the specific virtual environment. We already have that in instructions, but I just want to focus on that so you won't miss that step. Otherwise, you would be installing everything globally, and it might mess up with other versions that you have. So ensure whenever you clone our sample starter repo, create a virtual environment. You might be using different like Poetry or VM or any other virtual environment, Conda, whatever it is, but ensure you create a virtual environment and then install all the dependencies, which also includes our DP API in one of the commands, so that you have everything under this folder in virtual environment. It wouldn't mess up. So here we are just loading the OpenAI key. So this is where we are connecting to our actual iris database that is spun up using the container, the command that we showed. It will be run by default on port 1972. So we have this connection, and it displays this connection string, which we will be using to connect to our database. We already loaded some sample data sets, and which has a collection name. So what we are doing here is, for the sample data set, we are creating embeddings from Python, and then we will be storing those embeddings in our iris database. So let's say after running this, we had like 114 documents that we turned into vectors and stored in iris. Here we are trying to evaluate the score. This helps when you want to probably rank your search results to see which one is more relevant to show to the user. Let's say if someone is searching for something and then you want to only show top 1 or 2, right? Because if you show like 8 or 10 results as well, that might not be still relevant to the data, even though we are using vector set. Depends on the search term that they are exactly typing for, and also let's say if it's image, it also depends on all the data when we convert to embedding. So this ranking will help to show you the top results and only show the relevant ones to the user. And all this data, using the management portal, you would be able to also check the data within the database using the management portal. If you're familiar with SQL, it's pretty easy to use all the SQL queries that you're familiar with, and then just add the vector column. For example, if you want to do like select regular columns that we have, varchar columns, integer columns, and then comma, you can just still use the vector embeddings column to see which particular row it corresponds to. Because most of the time you have data set either in like local text files or something, but now you can load those files in a regular varchar column, and alongside you can also have vector embedding of that. So whenever you want to debug, it's very easy to see, okay, this particular vector was the result, and this is the corresponding text that corresponds to this particular result that we are sending, which makes it very easy for you to debug when you are working with your app. We also have a sample Flask application.
This probably would be useful only for the beginning, before you have made much more complicated stuff than this. Essentially, like if you want to see how like an app would link to our backend, you can like use this as a starter thing, or like if you want to debug something, if some of your code is not working, you can just go look through the code here. It's essentially like state of the Flask app, which allows you to create a table, insert data into it, get that data back, and then like it has like some templates of how you can write code there, and you can just like play around with it, like explore some of the backend, and you can see like how we're making all the things that you just saw in the notebooks right now. You can just see we're doing almost exactly the same things here, and then like passing data to the backend and getting money from it. One thing that Vishal mentioned, like, and I'll just like to highlight that as well. So the power of the management portal here is like once you're building your apps, like a lot of times you get stuck with the issue of like not getting the correct response back from the server, or like not getting the correct data that you want. It's really very easy to just like check if all your queries work. You go here to the management portal, you can execute all the SQL queries that you might end up using in your apps right here, and see the results right here. So you can just like open the table, send the table, run the queries, and then you can be sure that there is something else. So that's all that we mentioned. We want to close here at the desk, or like sitting on a bit, and we also have like support on Discord 24/7. So feel free to reach out to us, ask us questions that you have. We can help you like get back to you like within like an hour. We can help you, but like
I'm against it. When I was 14, that's when I first read the called AI implementation. Like, it was generation differentiated.
Go to
Don't you?
your ice.
What?
I need you to come. When are you free?
What about the Intel workshop?
No, you gotta stay. You gotta stay. Okay.
Take
I'll
on.
leave you here.
Take on.
I'm gonna go by myself. I'll take
You go alone? Where are you going?
I get ice and get a hot goose.
I can.
Ah, goose egg
just
for what?
really-
For what?
There are a few differentiators. One is we're known for massive scale performance is in addition to the vector databases. So if we're working on a solution that needed massive scale and performance, that's a reason to choose us. There are also, we have specialty features built up over those many years in healthcare, financial services, supply chain logistics, so that you can then very easily add generative AI to these existing features, and those are differentiators over other vector databases. Trust, you don't have to move data, copy data. You can simply use our very high performance multi-model database, and you can just add generative AI features to these existing features and functionality. There are many of the features in healthcare and infectious disease are unique. There is not competition beside those.
In my opinion, there is a barrier for people to try to The GitHub repo that is shared
You gonna go talk to
actually
them?
has all the links
Are you gonna go talk to
for
them?
different ways to
We should
connect
be
our
probably
database
rotating
and
out.
different ways of utilizing
I'm
the
gonna let this go until like 33 maybe.
Yeah.
check out documentation, but everything
And then
from
after that,
page
cut it
should
off
point
and
you.
then
And for both
rotate out.
ideas or answers, in that page you can see how the past winners, what type of projects they went on. So you can get an idea and feel of, okay, this is some sort of use case that you can also try. Anyone else have any other questions?
Yep.
All right, thank you so much for coming.
Hey, there's some spot.
Is that camera?
Yep.
Damn.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I've never done this before. It's my first time.
Yeah, you're doing good.
But I don't even know if people watch. I think it's more about like them watching later if they need to. So yeah, there's only one person watching, and that's probably me.
Right. I mean, hey, worth having this.
Yeah.
Right. Hello, are y'all here for Intel's workshop? Yeah. Great, come on in. I think we have some open spots scattered throughout. I think that there might be some up in the front right area. Not confident.
There's like it's like scattered now. But
Yeah.
you can like stand in the line.
That's all.
The only time I've ever seen more people in this room is like Chatterkey's first lecture.
Yeah, no, dude. After that, I went up a hill. But yeah, no. We're glad to have y'all here. Just we are starting to run out of seating.
Is it worthwhile? What will it cover? You know?
Like,
It's
we're
on
probably
the
have a good amount.
website.
What will it cover?
You know?
We're not covering.
I think we're going to get going here in a sec. If you guys want to come sit down, there's plenty of chairs over here. If you want to come sit down. You might want access to your laptop during this to take notes. All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ben Odom. I am a developer evangelist at Intel, and what does that mean? Well, we actually build a lot of code for students, professionals, companies to take advantage of our hardware. And today, I'm going to show you guys some good samples that you can use in this hackathon to maximize your chances on our track. Just a few things about hackathons. This is about my fourth or fifth one this year. I just came back from Dub Hacks, and before that we did Hack Davis, and then Cal Hacks and M Hacks, and so we've seen a lot of good projects out there. As you guys think about the tracks that you're doing, I would highly encourage you to maximize the number of tracks that you apply for. Improves your chances. You think about it. I'd also encourage you to, when you think about your projects, and feel free to come up and talk to our team. We'll all be out at the booth out there. Think about your project. You've got 24 hours, well 25, right? Daylight savings, but you got 25 hours. And I know they said, half-done projects are still acceptable, but constrain your goals so that you really have something functional and done at the end of this. I assure you will fare much better. Think about your project. Don't boil the ocean. Maybe just divert a stream. It's just and get something functional. And hopefully your teams are built in a diverse manner. And I don't mean like skill set diverse. Like there's someone that's good at the front end, someone that's good at back end, someone that's actually played with some of this AI code or has hacked well on Python, and then someone's maybe your idea hamster. So try and if you're here with a bunch of buddies, or you may are still looking for team members. I don't know if were you guys all pre-formed teams before you showed up? Do you have a meet and greet later? So okay. Well, anyways, think about those things when you're doing a hack. And today I'm gonna next 30, 40 minutes, maybe an hour. How much time do I have? Do I have an hour?
Yes.
30 minutes. Okay. So I'm going to introduce you guys to our developer cloud. It's an awesome free resource. We're giving you guys a coupon access to this, so you get access all weekend long. Tons of compute resources for training, fine-tuning. I'll go over that and show you guys. We'll step through how to get an account, which is why I said you might want your laptops to follow along. So you get your account set up, and you can get going. It just takes a couple minutes. Doesn't take long at all. So if you guys haven't set up an Intel Timer AI Cloud account yet, follow along, and I'll basically walk you through the screenshots to show you how to do that. So to get started, you're going to want to go to cloud.intel.com and hit that big sign up button. Please use your edu email address, and You know, I think I was supposed to do HackTX on the end of that. Anyways, that'll work. And that should get you started. It's going to ask you a few things, you know, basic things like email. Like I said, please use u.edu. You won't have any account creation issues with that because those are one of the valid accounts we see. Brutal password requirements as usual. I'm sure you guys are pretty used to that here, so those are them. You're going to get a verification code sent back to you at your email. And why I said don't use a throwaway email, because we'll verify that email later. And if you have any support issues, that's how we're going to contact you. So, you know, it's worth giving an email, and we don't market to you. You can uncheck the marketing if you want, and you won't get any. So once you get through there, you have to accept the basic license, Intel Tiber AI Cloud. And then at that point in time, we've got a couple of free options here. I know you guys are filling things out, and I'm cruising along here, but we've got some pretty awesome things. And I'll actually walk through it while people are doing it, just to show you in the UX how you get there. To show you how to get to the right place, because it gets a little confusing, because there is a pay-for premium side of this, but everything that you guys will have access to will be absolutely free this weekend. No credit cards, no nothing. You just log in and use it. So if you do take a peek at our UX there, you know, you come into this, you immediately get into this home area, and you have this learn for free, and you click get started there, and it'll immediately launch you into some learning paths here, which have a ton of Jupyter notebooks for you guys to use as samples. We've got Gen AI samples, we've got, you know, chatbot, RAG, stable diffusion, what else? Fine tuning. I mean, you name it. Those examples are there. And one of the things I wanted to show you guys is, like, when you're at home and you hit that connect now, you're going to see two options here. You're going to see an AI accelerator, and you're going to see a GPU. So the AI accelerator is our Gaudi 2s. We have 50 VM instances of those. You get one of those. It's got 96 gigs of RAM, so you can train a pretty big model, and they're quite zippy. You know, if you needed to do some training, that would be a great choice. The second one is a GPU, which is our Intel GPU Max 1100s. Those are also quite beefy, but you are in a shared instance on those, so it's 24 gigs of RAM to you. But you're on a Xeon with 64 processors and 100 gigs of RAM per instance. So you can do, you know, some pretty good fine-tuning, training. It could be, you know, your back end to the front end of your app on your AI PC, you name it. Is that legible? Man, I'm tempted just to log in and show you guys this. I think I'm gonna do that. And feel free to ask questions as you guys want. You know, this is not a. Is that coming through okay? Yeah. One more. So kind of as I was saying, you come here and you have the learn, and if you say get started there, it's going to immediately pop you into, and I'll just grab a GPU. It's immediately going to pop you into a Jupyter Notebook instance. This is your user ID, by the way. You'll see it pop up there. So if you need to answer a support question, that's what they might ask you that. So mine's going to be real crowded, but you guys are going to have some stuff in there that is really good to know. And the first thing you're going to need to know is that I think, are most of you familiar with Jupyter? Is that pretty much standard in the CS department? You guys are all used to using that. I think the previous instructor showed that also. So you're going to have 3 directories in here, and the first one to notice is training. And if you double click on training, you're going to see a directory called AI. And inside of that are gonna be a bunch of AI classes. So we'll have like introduction to machine learning. So any of you are doing machine learning exercise, you can use these notebooks as the basis of your project. You know, we've got, you know, logistic regression, you know, supervised learning, bagging, boosting if you're doing some kind of you know, comparison. We also have a bunch of Gen AI folders in there for you. So if you take a peek here, you can see like we have a simple LM inference. We've got a simple RAG, text to image. So, you know, like if you launch text to image here, you can come over and you'll see that everything's set up for you there to take advantage of. All the code is there, ready to run. And you can play with them and use this as the basis for something that you might create originally. Pretty cool. Let's see if we can run this one real quick. So, and then you're familiar with the terminal. One of the things to note about the terminal versus the Jupyter Notebook is that they are separate environments. And so when you're doing Python and you're inside a Jupyter Notebook, make sure that you use the proper system import, OS system sysimport, to install your Python packages into the correct environment. And it's you know, something that you guys should pay attention to. Did it finish? Yeah. I think we'll just run them all, right?
Do any of you plan on
No diffusers, awesome.
Intel.
I've probably got my environment so messed up because I do so many different things.
You're gonna like sit in your
One of the things I really would encourage you guys to do for troubleshooting is always pay attention to your .local environment. You'll have a lot of things in there that could overwrite or overlap, and so that's why I'm saying make sure you have a virtual environment for everything. So that's how you get to a GPU. If you log out and you leave like that, you can't run multiple instances of Jupyter Hub going between our GPUs and our Gaudi ASICs, so training accelerators. So before I jump to that, I do want to show you guys a learning path. You can filter basically on our examples, and they'll launch you directly into a particular learning path that you guys want to take a look at. You know, if you're interested in image generation, or you know, you want to do you know, retrieval augmented generation. So that's basically like a private, you know, that's what the kind of the point of our AI PCs is, the privacy. So you can take a look at that. That uses a bunch of Docker images though. So let's just go ahead and connect to Gaudi here, or yeah, and hit AI Accelerator. You guys will of course use your email as opposed to employee sign-in. So in here, here's a parameter efficient tuning of a Llama 3 tune. And so if you take a peek at this, it's going to, you know, show you the things you can use. So in that case, we'll do that one. We'll do single card tutorials. So this is kind of what I was talking about, to install extra modules when you're on our dev cloud correctly. Do you see how you have the sys executable mpip install something? When you go to the terminal here, that is not the same environment as what's in your notebook. So if you're going to use that, make sure that you install correctly. Hopefully I have all of that installed. One of the things to notice about it when you are using the Intel Gaudis is it's using a version of software. And if you go to Optimum Intel on GitHub, and this is a partnership that we have with Hugging Face, you're going to want to pay attention to the software version that's or the model version that's available for the version we have up there. So basically, we're using Gaudi software version 1.15, and you'll see that in the single card tutorials, it will talk about which software versions required. So if they say it needs like 117, 118, try and find another model. And I wasn't really prepared to show you that, but super fast resource, fun to play with. You can fine tune your model here, and then you can export it to your AI PC for your front end app, whether you're doing something with radio or Streamlit or something like that. Just pop back to the Tower Cloud. So just remember, you always come up into Jupyter. And here's your cloud credits. So something I want to show you, you guys should all take a photo of that number there. This is how you get your free access to our compute cluster. It's good for this whole weekend, probably half the day Monday, and use it, abuse it, just, you know. And I'll show you where to get that. So when you come to your account, did you guys all get the photo? You guys all have the number? Okay, good. When you get to your account, you see this little person up here? You're gonna see this thing right here called Cloud Credits. And you're gonna redeem a coupon, right? So you're not gonna get 20,000 credits. But you'll get $1 is what it's worth. But that's okay. It's tuned for this event, and so that's where you guys wanna do to get your free cloud credits. Now, some of you might say, well, hey, I want, if you come up here and you go to preview. So in our preview catalog, maybe later after this event, it usually takes a day or two, you can actually get for free access to some very compelling hardware, but it takes a couple days or two, and they usually kind of suss you out. You can get access to the latest, Gaudi 3 and Xeon 6 and tons of advanced processors and parts in there. So definitely you're going to want to look at that later. But for this weekend, no one will get access. So stay out of there. Now, let's say you want total control root. Like you want to run your entire backend on instances from Intel. So you can go to catalog and go to hardware, and you can look for a CPU or a GPU, but this is not free, and the coupon doesn't cover this, but it will give you root, and that's something I should say to you guys. You do not have root on these systems. You can install everything in user space, and if you can do it in user space, you're good. You also do not have direct access to the internet, as in that's an IP address you can hit directly from your laptop, right? So you would either need to punch out with an API service that has an established link. If some of you are familiar with ngrok, you might be able to get that. The firewall rules keep getting more and more restrictive. So if you really want a big back end, consider this, because it's pretty cheap. If you just needed like a CPU, it could be like 40 cents an hour or something like that, $5 an hour for that one. But it's a thought. What I recommend though is getting connected to our AI PCs, which are on your local network connected via hardline. So keep that in mind. And I think I kind of already did the demo. I don't think you guys really need to see me walk through code. But like I said, I do want to share a couple of GitHub repos with you guys that I think you'll find really interesting. The first one is the IPEX LLM repo, and this is a PyTorch library where we have a ton of integration with Llama, Ollama, Llama CPP, LangChain, and it's fast. It works really well. And there's a ton of code examples up here. If you take a look at the library, you can, there's Dockers and app examples. So have a look at that. We also have another product, and this is what I would call a production product. And so I know some of you might be doing a pitch, and if you actually think about implementing something for real, this is a product called OpenVINO, which we actually support commercially. So it's an Intel product. It basically allows you to do everything that PyTorch does, kind of in an accelerated manner. But in the OpenVINO notebook repo, there's a notebooks directory, and you can see, just hundreds of examples. 3D pose estimation. I'll give you an example of a really cool hack I saw at MHacks. Someone used the 3D pose estimation to assess the crowd dancing and then tuned the music, whether they wanted the crowd to be more active or down. It was an automated DJ. It was pretty slick. So that's something that I've seen people do. Tons of large language models here. It's a great thing to build some of that next iteration of a language model, study buddies, what have you. So there's that one. And then we also have in our AIPC notebook example, we've got negative GPU, we've got an Ollama example, we have a PyTorch GPU. We show you how to quantize, so you can run models on edge devices like your laptops. We show you how to build SYCL backend, so you get maximum performance on an IA product. So, and then we actually have a multimodal example for you guys. And if you take a peek at that, we do quite a few things here. Show you how to set it up with the AIPC, create the environment, and then it's built with a Streamlit app, so you guys can see we're using Llama here, Llama CPP, and it's just it's a great example and basis for a project. So those three repos, the IPEX LLM, OpenVino notebooks, and then the AIPC, all on GitHub, all public. Use them as you please. Take a look at them. They're great code examples and a basis for projects. So yeah. What else would I show you? I think we'll skip the premium stuff. So I guess I should say, what is an AIPC? How many of you guys know what an AIPC is and like what the difference is? So, all right, just a couple of you. So it's basically about heterogeneous execution and running your workload where it makes the most sense, the most power. So like I know some of you maybe run an AI on your laptop, and you have like a really high-end GPU in there. It fills your battery in like what, 30 minutes, 20 minutes? Yeah, it's not great. You need to be attached to the wall. So what this has is it has three engines in it. It has a GPU engine, an NPU called the neural processing unit, which is like a really good matrix multiplication engine. Super power efficient though. So this whole thing is running in under 35 watts. So you can run these models using those techniques we showed you. I just showed you with IPEX LLM, or use those features, or OpenVino, and offload to these devices and run your models very efficiently. The other thing about this is, if you think about if you did like a healthcare or mental health project, you don't want to be submitting that to Gemini, right? Because every time you submit to Gemini or one of those cloud providers, they're training on you, on who you are and what questions you're asking. And that data is not private. And so the big advantage to an AIPC is being able to implement these models locally and be able to have a conversation locally and keep your data private. And so if you think about retrieval augmented generation, let's say you're an author or you have something very compelling. A friend of mine works at Autodesk, and he's like, Ben, how do I do this crazy graphics thing, with an AI? And I'm like, you don't, but if you ever do and it sees it, then everyone else will know how to. And it was basically for a future Autodesk product. And so this is why a local AI is really compelling, because if you have a great idea, keep it to yourself for a while, at least till you can defend it, and run it appropriately. So why AIPC, right? You guys are wondering. It's kind of the future of what laptops are going to look like, or what computers going to look like. We're going to have up to 100 million of them. We have 40 million of them in the market this year, 100 million. So if you think about application development and a market, that's pretty compelling. We have a ton of use cases. Ajit back there works with customers and productivity apps. I think open source. What is it? It's on the AIPC. GIMP has AIPC accelerations in it. If you wanted to actually see the source code for some of these, but Adobe's embraced it. You see gesture control. One of our student ambassadors did drone control with his hand motions using an AIPC. So it's kind of the future. And how do you get there? So we have 50 of them for the teams, right? and we've got the IP addresses, and they're here on the University of Austin's hard line, and we can assign one to your team, preferably one per team. If we have extras, we're happy to assign a second to the same team, but just come grab one of us, and then using one of these, if you have Windows, looks like most of you guys are Mac users, you have to download this thing called the Windows app from the Mac store. And, you know, it's pretty easy to connect. Happy to show you guys how to do that or not. But I wanted to connect to, I wanted to demo it to you, but I'm not on the Texas network, I'm on the guest network. So it would be awesome if one of you showed up after here and we could test it out for your team, because I don't know if we can actually connect or not, but please give that a try. I was gonna demo that, but I don't really have that. Kind of already talked about Gaudi. It's an accelerator. Like I said, use it. You get about a 4-hour block on Gaudi, and then it'll kick you off the system. So if you are training, that's just some good code practices. Take snapshots, right? Don't train for like 8 hours. Train for 30 minutes in snapshot. Train for an hour in snapshot, so that you have a starting place to start over. Because you know the network's going to go down here with this many people this weekend is active. It just, I don't know, this is a big school, maybe you can handle it, but I've yet to see it now. Yeah? Sure? Yeah. At the same time, just for judging. So typically, I mean, if you think you actually would run your inference or your final application on a Gaudi, we could probably get one and move your project over to it if they're all used up. But yeah, so you could also, so I would say that you could tune or whatever you're gonna do on Gaudi and then move your project to an AI PC and run inference on it. You would get your model complete on Gaudi, like fine-tuned or trained, whatever you're doing, and then you would do final inference on an AI PC. Yeah, we have those for remote access for you guys. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. So it's not a virtual machine. You're actually on physical hardware here in the school. So it's not a virtual machine. It's like got desktops on your machine. And so you're the only person on that machine, and there's no noisy neighbors or anything like that. It's your team's machine for the whole hackathon. Yeah. So first 50 teams get it. 5-0. Yeah, we got 48 actually. That's how many Nick ports they gave us. Just to be honest. So yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. So just remember, sign up for the Dev Cloud. Come see us in the main sponsor hall if you want an AI PC. And yeah, great hacking.
I don't.
Can I, if I run mine, can I plug into your laptop?
Oh yeah. I think it's the. Oh shoot.
I think it goes to the.
Okay. Let's stop.
Yeah, I'd probably stop it.
It will be filling teams out. So I think if you go, we have a table over there.
Sure.